Good morning, good morning. It's great to stay up late. Good morning to you.
Hey vlog. Day 61 is here with us. I just woke up and it's currently 8:25 in the AM. Today's a new day. Not quite chilly, but it's cold. No sun in sight. I thank God for the good night. I slept well. I slept peacefully. Everyone around me slept well. Everyone is okay. Everyone woke up, and I hope y'all are having a beautiful morning today. Day 61 of my 365 of my 2026 has just started, and I'm here to clock in and also remind you to and motivate you to clock in and remain locked in, focused. Today is a new week. Today marks the start. As much as Sunday marks the start of a new week, I feel like Monday now fortifies it, and Monday is when you now start to put in the work intentionally. So now that it's a new week and a new month, today is 2nd of March 2026, the third month of the year. So remember to clock in, as I said, and lock in intentionally, so that by the time the year is ending, we can be happy with the progress and the achievements and the successes we've experienced during the whole year. Yeah, we can be happy, and I'm sure, and I bet we'll be happy if you just choose to clock in and lock in intentionally with the aim of achieving your goals. Then you'll definitely be happy by the time the year is coming to an end. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Also, yesterday my phone was acting up because I was trying to export day 60. Day 60 is quite a long video, around 1 hour, probably 47 minutes, 45 or 47, and it took the whole time to export. So I really didn't get the opportunity to read the book, as I had said, because I'm making it a priority to read the book on here, and so that we can also get to hear what the book has for us, because it's quite a motivating book. And if you love to listen to books, maybe like Audible, then you'll probably enjoy whatever I'm trying to do on here. Yeah, so all that to say that we're back to regular programming today. And also I also didn't get to vlog as much, but at least I got to intro, but I didn't get to outro. Anyway, we're back to regular programming. So I wish you a beautiful week and month ahead. May you all intentionally choose to clock in and lock in intentionally. This is like the 4th time I'm saying this, because I know the importance of clocking in and locking in intentionally and putting in the work so that you can be able to achieve your goals, your set goals, by the time the year is coming to an end. Yeah, so choose that. I urge you to choose that. And if the odds are against you, please find ways on how you'll try to fix your situation. And if it feels so hard, I'd urge you to be quite honest, and the best thing is to just pray about it and lean on the fact that God has a good plan for you, because He surely does have a good plan for you. And yeah, easier said than done, but you need to, because that's what I also do. And I also try not to stick around the depressive episodes or the despairing episodes, because those episodes definitely, but there's nothing you gain from them. Yeah, they're negative, and so choose to be positive, but it's easier said than done, and choose to do it. Yeah, choose to do it, just do it, because it's the best for you. And if you do not do it for yourself, who will? Nobody, absolutely nobody. You have the strength to do it for yourself. Yeah. Anyway, please also do not forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Today, let's comment the Russia flag, just because Russia has been such a topic in Kenya. So, and I actually do not know how the Russia flag looks like. So I'll just put it over here. Yeah, and so get to comment the Russia flag down in the comment section. Yeah, so allow me to love you and leave you until the evening, where I'll be clocking out and also reading the book as stated. But until then, please clock in, lock in intentionally. Stay blessed. Remember to smile, pray, drink your warm water because it's quite cold. Your hot chocolate, eat a balanced diet, eat a fruit, all that good stuff. Yeah. Till then, have yourselves a beautiful day ahead. I'm just here and I'm seeing this lizard. I feel like this is its home and this is where it resides. Also, I just figured out, guys, do you thank God for having a roof over your head? Can you imagine being outside with all this rain? The people who are outside and it's raining, it's cold, they're outside with their family, their children outside. I pray that God gets me to a point where I'll have so much money, or I'll have partners who will be willing to come on board, so that we can maybe probably help the needy, because my heart cries and goes out to all the people who are outside when it's raining, and the small children, they do not have food. It's crazy. I thank God that I have a roof over my head. I truly do thank God, because it could be worse. Even me not having a job, that's not even an issue. The people who are having it rough out here. And so I thank God for the basic needs, and I pray that He comes through for everyone who is having it roughest, because there's definitely people having it roughest. Can you imagine a lizard? This lizard has a place where it can just come and chill at night, even when it's raining. However, the people who don't have shelter shelter, So I just pray for them, and I hope it reaches a point where I will get the chance to document and helping souls, helping lives, yeah, because people out here are having it rough. So that was triggered by this lizard that is just chilling here, and I also saw it on Saturday. Yeah, so that's just it. And also, I welcome partners. If you're willing to partner with me, if you're willing to send me maybe PR packages, I mean, what do I have to lose and what do you have to lose? Yeah, you all are all welcome. Just get in touch with me. My email address is on my about. Yeah, so yeah, just look at this lizard. If a lizard has shelter, imagine shelter. It has somewhere it comes to just chill and relax, even when it's raining. Hey vlog, so it's currently 10:46 in the AM, and I just want to go to the cyber, try job hunt, and then upload vlog day 59 to day 60. Yeah, day 59 to day 60. Yeah. So come along with me as I go to the cyber. But first, I also want to take some rosemary and some mint that we grow here at home in our kitchen garden. I want to take some to the lady that allowed me to use the Wi-Fi at her cyber. But definitely, well, like, even though it's free, I'll definitely pay her when I get some money. Yeah, when things look up for me. So yeah, let's go grab some rosemary, some mint, and then we go to the cyber. Hey, vlog. Day 61 is over. It's currently 19:45, 7:45 in the PM. And before I clock off, I just want us to read the book for 30 minutes and hear what Maria has to tell us. And read about Maria's story. And so I was saying, let's get to hear what today's chapter will talk about. So I'll just set the timer. I hope you've had a good day all in all. It's currently raining. Today has been a good day. I got to upload the vlogs. I got to job hunt a bit online as I wait for some help. There's someone I'm waiting for to get back to me, and they're taking the sweet time to get back to me. Hopefully they'll get back to me with good news. So yeah. So we start. So we are at chapter 7. So the last sentence was, it was in the complex where we had lived with a Russian lady, only now we had a place of our own, a 2-bedroom unit, big enough for all of us. Me, my father, and my mother, who just had those visa issues resolved. Chapter 7. I was still living at the academy and hating it. There might have been a great new deal, but I still had the same old life. I wanted to call it a prison, but I guess it was really just a tennis prison. All the academies are like that, laid out like prisons, with the stout buildings and the neat paths, the curfews and the yards, the food lines, the bragging and the arguing with the women over there and the men over here. The tennis courts and workout rooms are always very close, waiting like a row of coffins. You get up and there they are. You lie down and there they are, even when you can't see them. I lived in a suite in one of the big domes. There was a bathroom and a living room and 2 bedrooms, each with 2 sets of bunk beds. 4 girls in a room, 8 girls in a suite. Sweet. I kept losing roommates and getting new ones as girls cycled in and out. Did well, struggled, broke down, went home. In the morning, the bed would be stripped and prepared for a new girl. I was lonely. I barely saw my father, who had struggles of his own. Now and then, I took classes at the nearby public school. This was a requirement, probably. They'd drop a bunch of us off in vans, then pick us up late in the day. We'd sit there with the local kids like freaks dropped from another planet, but I enjoyed it. I've always loved school, and it was an escape, something different. Life in the dorm was no fun. I was younger than the other girls. For a while, I was the youngest kid at the academy, and the others punished me for it. I went to bed earlier than the rest because I was younger and practiced longer hours and needed more sleep. They'd come in late, hopped up on candy, talking and laughing loudly on purpose, waking me up and mocking me. It was not just my age that separated me. I was on a completely different track. I was there on a mission, bound for a different kind of tennis life. These were rich kids, for the most part, spoiled and sent down to live out a parental dream. I was a player, one of only a handful on scholarship who attracted the attention of those parents and got them to fork over all that money for tuition. That was our job. How we paid back Bollettieri. We were the advertisement. We attracted the deluded wannabe tennis parents. These girls, they'd go through my stuff when I was out on the courts. I'd notice it when I got back, that everything had been overturned and rifled. The joke was on them. I had nothing to steal, nothing to see. What was I? A poor Russian girl who loved to hit tennis balls. When they weren't going after me, they were making poster board collages. It was the thing to do at that time. Elemas, glue, cutouts of David Hasselhoff. I didn't know who that was, and Janet Jackson, and love and friendship written in blue and yellow and pink bubble letters. If that was what it meant to have a real childhood, to be a real American girl, you could keep it. I had only one friend in the suite. Her name was Priscilla. She was a little chubby with the brightest American smile I'd ever seen. I think she liked me because we were both a little awkward. She didn't feel like she fit in, and I knew I didn't. We were outcasts together. The routine never changed. 5:30 a.m., wake up. 5:45 a.m., breakfast. 6:15 in the a.m., practice on Nick's court. 7:30 a.m., clinics and drills. 12:30 p.m., lunch. 1:30 p.m., practice. 4 p.m., fitness. 5 p.m., dinner. 7 p.m., schoolwork. 9 p.m., bed. At Bollettieri's, they never really worked on the technical aspects of the game. When I asked Nick about this, he shrugged and said something like, if it ain't broke. He said, I came to them that second time, fully formed. Yes, there was work you could do on your serve, covering the court, but you already had that thing, that desire that makes good players champions. We did not want to do anything to screw that up. It's like a fire. You try to light a fire, but if that fire is already going, your task is to get out of the way and let it burn. Feed it maybe, but by God, don't smother it and put it out. I wasn't too sure I agreed with that philosophy. I worked my way into Nick's elite group, boys and girls of different ages, the young players at the academy. There were 6 to 8 of us, at any one time. Todd Reid, Jelena Jankovic, Horia Tekau, and Tatiana Golovin were kids Nick had pegged for the Pro Tour and the standouts. We played with one another and against one another, ate meals at the same table, warmed one another up before matches, and traveled to tournaments together in a single van. Nick tried to make us into a team, to instill an esprit de corps, which is why he gave us the nickname the Tigers, I think. Or maybe it was the Cougars. The fact that I can't remember, it shows how little that team meant to me. He might have called us a team, but we knew deep down that our teammates were our competitors, not our friends. If you wanted to be number one, these were in fact the girls you would have to beat, and being friends will only make that harder. For me, it helped to turn them, in my mind, into the enemy. I imagine it's how everyone who really plays has to play, because it's how you win. Other girls just might be better at hiding it than I am. People say that I'm a bad sport because I don't seem to be friends with the other girls on the Pro Tour. Well, I just don't buy into that locker room small talk. It feels forced, fake. There are so many times when you see two players in the locker room, two girls just chatting away like they're best friends about personal lives and boyfriends, and I'm going on this vacation, and I bought this dress, and oh my god, it was how much money. Listening to them speak, they sound like best friends. And then a few hours later, one of them is playing a match and the other is in the locker room watching the match on TV, looking pleased when her friend loses the point. That's how it really is. What about the other girls in that team of elites? We didn't spend much time together away from the courts. I was too competitive to get very close to them. They were very good. Jelena Jankovic had been in the Grand Slam final. She's been the top player in the world. I remember when we were 11 years old, we made up our first email addresses together. The password to mine was love and peace. I wonder if she remembers. Tatiana Golovin, almost the same age as me, was from France. Tatiana, Jelena, and I were rivals at the academy, and Tatiana was the favorite of the pack. Everyone loved her. She'd always have her hair up in just the right way with perfect braids, and always had cute outfits with perfectly tucked shirts. She walked Nick's daughter's dogs and wore pom-poms on her shoes. Jelena was more of a tomboy. I was in the middle. I was vanilla. I didn't think about my clothes too much, and I really didn't care about my hair. I put it up in a ponytail. Done. My clothes, usually a tennis skirt. We did some things together, activities at the academy. Sometimes we'd all go out to dinner at a restaurant with a coach. This was fun, but I never came back thinking, oh, now we're friends. I never forgot that the time would come when we'd face each other on the court with everything on the line. Nick's staff did not do much for me in the way of coaching. Repetition hour after hour on a court, hitting the same shot again and again. That's what I did at the academy. If a certain part of my game needed work, and there always is, Yuri could call Gavin Forbes and ask him to suggest coaches, offer ideas. My father was always researching, studying, and analyzing. Many of his ideas came from articles or from conversations he had with other parents. Yuri was aware of the fact that he had to have the best team around, Gavin told me. So he would search for the best guy for a forehand, or he'd find the best guy for a serve, or he'd find the best guy for a physical training. He was smart enough to realize that while he might be the director of this project, he needed the best people around you to make this thing really work. I remember one time when Yuri felt that, for some reason, you needed, number one, to be on a clay court, and number two, to work more hours than was recommended at that time for a kid of your age at the academy. And he asked me to help him get some more balls, which I did. I remember going down to him on Highway 41, right there in Bradenton. He'd found a clay court hidden beyond a donut store. He had a shopping cart with old balls, and he had a guy from South America with big holes in his shoes hitting with you. This guy could hit, obviously, and they would spend an hour every morning at 6 with this kid. And I remember saying to Yuri, I've got to get this boy some new shoes. Yuri found him on the streets or something, and wow, could he hit the ball. But that was Yuri, always searching, always working. I never thought of myself as a good tennis player, nor did I think of myself as a bad tennis player. I just did not think about it at all. I had yet to become conscious of my game in that way. I was still happily dumb to all the ways you can be valued, marked up, or marked down. I was still living in the first bliss, meaning I simply played because it's what I'd always done and because I loved to hit. Was there a moment when this state of ignorance ended, when the bubble was pierced? Was there a moment when I realized that I was very good and that being very good would have value for those around me? Yes, there was. It happened at the academy one night after dinner. I was already in bed, reading, doing homework, staring at the ceiling. One of Nick's guys called me down to the center court. This was unusual. The hours and length of time we played at the academy were tightly regulated. That's why my father and I ducked out to grab an extra hour behind the donut shop. And this was definitely after hours, the time of crickets and cicadas and silence. Yet center court was lit like the deck of an aircraft carrier, stadium lights blazing, and the bleachers were filled with businessmen in suits. Nick told me to warm up, then head over to the far court. One of the teachers would hit with me. So that's what I did. Got out there in what felt like the dead of night, chasing and hammering while the businessmen looked on the mosquitoes. When the businessmen looked on and the mosquitoes swarmed. It was a kind of showcase. I figured this out later. These were investors thinking of putting money into the academy, and they wanted to get a look at the merchandise. In other words, Nick was the owner and I was the product. Or Victory was the product and I was a machine that cranked it out. I went back to my room and climbed into bed, but never really got over it. That showcase changed my perspective. I realized how much was at stake, and it made me see the other girls in a new way. From that moment, I was on the lookout for competition, for those girls who could take my place under the lights. I knew that I liked being there. I made fun of it and dismissed it, but I liked that I was the girl Nick summoned when Cash was on the line. I began looking here and there, searching for those who would challenge me, and I began searching for those I'd need to challenge. Jankovic, Konnikov, Golovin. I'd have to beat them all, beat them again and again. And as I got older, closer to the matches that really counted, I kept hearing the same names. Steffi Graf was still around, Lindsay Davenport, Monica Sales, but they were older, on their way out. Among the new generations, there were just two names, Venus and Serena, the Williams sisters. Of course, I'd heard of them before. It was in part that article about the sisters and how they were training at Rick Massey's tennis academy that convinced my father we had to make our way to America in the first place, but I had not thought about them since. I'd been living my own life. Now suddenly they were everywhere. Teenagers, only 1 year apart, but already the best in the world. They'd won tournaments, been crowned all around the world. They were big girls, and they hit with unbelievable power. That's what people told me. They would dominate the game for years. The more I heard about them, the more determined I became not to be beaten down or submit. That's when the rivalry began for me. Not on a tennis court or at some banquet, but right there in my mind. Before I had even seen the Williams sisters. I was 11 or 13, 5 years younger than Serena. She was already a grown woman, while I was still hanging from a chin-up bar at night, praying for inches and pounds. Then one day, we got the news. The sisters were coming to Bollettieri's to train. It started as a rumor and spread like wildfire. It was as if an astronaut or a movie star were visiting. The morning schedule was cancelled. Everyone wanted to watch the Williamses work out, to get close and see how the magic was done. Yuri told me to watch with clear eyes. See what they do. Learn what you can. This is who you will have to beat. No, what do you mean no? I will not watch them, I said. I'm not going to let them see me at their practice. I don't care if there are 100 people watching and they have no idea who I am. I will never give them that satisfaction. In truth, I did want to watch them practice, but I had little to do with tennis. I'm always fascinated by the great ones. How do they carry themselves? How are they like on the court? But I'd never put myself in the position of worshipping them, looking up, being a fan. My father and I argued about it. He said I was letting pride get in my way. You need to watch them, he explained. He finally came up with a solution. The sisters were playing on court 2, which had a wooden shed set up with a camera to shoot footage of each player. You are supposed to go into the shed after your session and analyze yourself on film. Look at your feet, look at how you dropped your shoulder. But no one ever did that. The shed was there so Nick could put it in a brochure. We have a film room and video facilities. It was dark and dank, filled with old equipment. Yuri got the key and snuck me in 10 minutes before the sisters showed up. He rolled the camera away and I could watch through a kind of knothole. Just me alone, in the dark, seeing the next 20 years of my life. The image of the Williams sisters would eventually become iconic, and it was in the works even then. They are a force, tall girls in tennis whites with bright smiles and piercing, focused eyes. They began hitting easy at first, then with terrific pace. Their father, a tennis player, parental nut, the wheel behind the operation, really not all that different from my own father, leaned against the fence, calling out instructions and orders. The bleachers were filled. Every kid in the academy was there. They hung on each shot and followed each volley like worshippers, like fans, like sheep. The sisters moved around the court with languid grace. Serena especially. She was younger but clearly stood out. She swung easily, but the ball smoked off her racket. Now and then, when a rally had gone one shot too long, she'd end it with a cross-court winner. And yet, for all the power, for all the intensity of their practice, I had just one thought: I wanted to beat them. In the spring of 1996, something big happened, bigger than picking up a new stroke or developing my serve or being signed by IMG. After years of waiting, my mom was finally granted her visa, and she joined us in Florida. She moved into the apartment in Bradenton. A few weeks later, I left the dorm and settled in the second bedroom. We were a family again. We ate meals together and watched TV and talked together. I had not seen my mother in close to 2 years, but it was as if no time had passed. This was maybe the happiest time of my life. I did not realize how much you do not realize how much you've missed someone until you have that person back. My mom immediately put things in order. I wonder how that is when someone passes away. Sad story. My mom immediately put things in order. She threw out all my Konnikov hand-me-downs, fixed my hair, confiscated Yuri's scissors. Never again would he cut my bangs. She fired my tutor. Now she and I would spend our evenings together, working on math problems, reading Russian literature. My mom, the most educated person in our family, took my education very seriously, and she was a wonderful teacher. She focused on the classics, the great Russian writers and poets, because that's what she knew and loved. She took care of the food and the shelter and the love and everything else. In a few months, I went from being a kid living a strange existence to being an athlete from a warm, stable, conventional home. Maybe this was when my father went sort of bonkers, because suddenly there really was nothing for him to think about but my tennis. I remember one night sticking my head into his room. He was lying there, a little shining on his lap, filling page after page with notes. I tried to back out unnoticed, but he spotted me. "Be ready," he said. "For what?" "We are going to Los Angeles." I did not believe him, but asked why anyway. "Because that's where Rob Lansdorp lives." Who's Rob Lansdorp? The man who's going to make you the #1 player in the world. So let's continue. Chapter 8. Rob Lansdorp was famous for the work he'd done with Tracy Austin and Pete Sampras, but he was a lot more than that. He really deserves a book of his own. He was white-haired, gravel-voiced, moody, tough, and mean, but also sentimental and generous and kind, and a brilliant tennis coach. He does not believe in bullshit inflation. If he compliments you, you deserve it. If he says you're good, you are good. And what a story. He grew up in the Far East in a Dutch colony that was conquered by the Japanese during World War II. His father, a Dutch businessman, was arrested and imprisoned in a concentration camp. Rob had gone back to Holland with his family, and that's where he learned to play tennis. When his father was released, the family went here and there before heading to America in 1960. Robert Robert was 22 years old. He bought a car in New York and moved to Los Angeles, where he met up with the rest of his family. By the time he arrived, he had fallen in love with America. That's what he said. He took up tennis again and began to play on a local circuit. He was a natural athlete and astonishingly good for an untrained player. He was spotted by a coach from Pepperdine, spotted because he kept beating that coach's scholarship stars. Rob was given a scholarship of his own, went to college and played tennis. He became an All-American player. He floated around the professional circuits afterwards, but there wasn't much money in it, and he eventually took a job at a resort in Mexico. Thus began his raffish life as a hotel tennis pro. He went from job to job, resort to resort, giving lessons in the morning and drinking with socialites in the afternoon. He found his way back to LA, where he quickly began to sort after coach. He became a sought after coach. It was not just that he was a good teacher, it was that he had a philosophy, a way of thinking about the game. He distrusted the modern reliance on trickery and spin. He distrusted the modern reliance on trickery and spin. He believed in a steady diet of low, hard, flat shots that just cleared the net. The kind of shot it takes guts to deliver, because if you miss by half an inch, you're finished. By the time we really learned about Lansdorp, he had become a fixture at the Riviera Club, a fancy spot in Beverly Hills. He charged an outrageous amount per hour for lessons and made most of his money teaching the children of movie producers and moguls. They all knew his record. The elite players he'd coached, Tracy Austin most famously. Austin and Lansdorp were a kind of team. They traveled together, became like family. She was his greatest pride, the youngest player to ever win the US Open. Lansdorp went on to coach many greats, but he never stopped talking about Tracy Austin. Yuri learned about Robert in one of the tennis magazines. He'd been working with Lindsay Davenport, and there was a picture of them together, working off the court. It impressed Yuri because Yuri was impressed by Lindsay. He'd see her play at a tournament and was convinced that my game should be like her game. She was not especially fast, nor did she look very strong, but she had such tremendous power. Those hard, flat, spinless shots. According to the article, this style and those shots owed a lot to the teaching of Robert Lansdorp. Yuri tracked down Lansdorp's phone number, probably a spare line at the Riviera, and called one afternoon. Yuri got him on about the 15th ring. Lansdorp was gruff. "Who is this?" Yuri Sharapov. Time is up. We shall read one more page and then call it a read. Yeah, it's interesting, quite very interesting. I hope you're finding it interesting, because I am. So, who is this? Yuri Sharapov. Who gave you my number? IMG. How will they do that? Bastards. What do you want? I want to bring you my daughter. What am I supposed to do with your daughter? Coach her at tennis. Who is your daughter? Maria Sharapov. Never heard of her. Ask around. She's something special. Do you know my rates? You can't afford me. I'm incredibly expensive. You're fine with the money. Where are you at the moment? Nick Bollettieri. Who is Nick Bollettieri? We took the next plane. It felt that way anyway, just like that, we were in Los Angeles. My father had me call Lansdorp from the airport's payphone. We needed direction to the club in Beverly Hills, and he figured I'd have better luck with Lansdorp on the phone. It's harder to be gruff and sarcastic to a little kid. Lansdorp picks up, grunts, groans. "What? Hi, this is Maria Sharapova. What the hell do you want? I have an appointment to come and see you this afternoon." "Yeah, so what? Is this the afternoon? Why do you people keep calling me?" "We need directions." "What? Directions?" "Take the 405, exit at Sunset." Bang, he hangs up. I turned to my father and said, "Who is this monster you're taking me to see?" "I hear he's very good," said Yuri. This was my first time in LA. Yuri was careful with the money we got from ING and Nike. There were not a lot of frills in our life, so I was thrilled when we went to get our rental car and found they had mixed up our reservation. It was a sports car, a red Mustang convertible. We sat in the smog and the traffic of the freeway, but I was dazzled by the palm trees, the mansions, the distant hills, and the big broad boulevards, all ending at the Pacific Ocean, which is, of course, the end of America. When we finally got there, I got changed. Robert Lansdorp was sitting in a chair beside the court, all alone. He looked to me just like some mean old guy, hunched in a defensive crouch, maybe twisted up by cramps. He was talking on the phone. That's why he was all bent over, but I did not realize this at first. I walked towards him slowly, carefully. I said, "Hello, Robert." He didn't even look up, so I said it again louder. "Hello, Robert." I called out his name a few more times, but my put my back down and started to stretch like I needed to warm up. I really didn't know what to do. That's when he finally acknowledged me. He did this by giving me one of those "who the hell are you" looks. I said, "Hi, I'm Maria Sharapova. I'm here for a lesson. Get your ass out of the coach." That's all he said. It was a very fast conversation, and yet maybe it was his tone of voice. I knew right away it was going to work. Robert has his way of beating you down and making you feel like nothing, but I had my way of charming grumpy older men. Always have. It's a sneaky little voice in my head that says, "I know how you're going to like me." I picked up my racket and I went to the far side of the court. It took Robert 5 minutes to finally get out of his chair, groaning and cursing the entire time. Oh, fuck, shit, fuck, shit. My father was standing right there, but he didn't say a word. I looked at him like, "Thanks, Dad. Look at this lunatic. What a bright idea." Robert finally got himself situated, set up, ready. He was holding a huge wire basket with maybe 500 balls. I was on the first service line. That's how I warmed up, by hitting balls Gosh, I feel like continuing. Back and forth from the service line. He scolded at me and said, "What the hell are you doing there?" I don't know. I almost said, almost laughing, because everything I did was apparently so wrong. I thought I was warming up. It turned out he's a coach who just feeds balls one after another like a machine. He doesn't hit with you. He does not volley. He just feeds and feeds and feeds, and you just hit and hit and hit. He shouted at me, "Get your ass on the baseline." Okay, I got my ass on the baseline, and he started feeding those perfect balls. It's this incredible gift he has. He is able to endlessly feed balls with the same pace and rhythm forever. Hour after an hour, you feel like you can return them with the same smooth hard stroke with your eyes shut. I spoke to Robert while working on this book. He's currently living in a house out of LA, and from his kitchen he can sit with a cup of coffee and look out at Long Beach Harbor, which is crowded with schooners and tankers from every part of the world. It puts him in a thoughtful mood. He likes to talk. He even likes to remember. He's saved memorabilia, small relics of our years together, pictures and old rackets, even a collage that I made for him. I guess I did some collaging after all. He talked about the old days calmly and happily, but of course, it was not so calmly and happy. It was not so calm and happy when it was happening. It was nuts. I asked if he remembered the first time we met. Sure. What was your impression? I thought you were a skinny little thing, but you did run well. You had a weak forehand, but such a weak forehand, you couldn't hit the ball cross court. I remember Yuri asking me at the end of that first practice, "Well, Lansdorp, what do you think about my daughter?" I said, "She's pretty good, but her forehand sucks." I wrote about Lansdorp in my diary. Here's one of the first entries. The greatest thing about Robert is that he's a no bullshit type guy. If you suck, he tells you suck. If you're out of shape, he tells you you're out of shape. He doesn't care if you're tired and can't do it anymore. He makes you keep going and going. Robert's persona was really a front. It was an act, even a kind of test. If you were the sort of person who got easily offended and couldn't take criticism, it was better to find out right away. If you couldn't take the tough words, then it wasn't going to work out with you and Lansdorp. But I knew I could work with Robert, that he could work with me. He's a weirdo, but has a soft spot. He pretends to be intimidating, but that's only when you don't know him. You need to have been through a lot to really understand that guy. He's obnoxious when you first meet him and has bad moments. But ever since I was young, I could handle difficult people. It's something I developed during my childhood. I've always been able to take the best, skip the rest. It's my philosophy. I quickly fell into a new routine. Actually, take the best, leave the rest. Take the best, leave the rest. That should be my new philosophy. But I mean, that's how it has been anyway. I quickly fell into a new routine. In addition to my regular schedule at Bollettieri's, I'd fly out to LA at the end of each month to work with Lansdorp for a week. At first, my father and I stayed in a cheap hotel near the Riviera Club. Later on, Robert asked a family whose kid he was teaching if it would be okay for me and my father to stay in their home while we were in LA to save a little money. The last spots kindly agreed. They lived in a big house in Palos Verdes and had 2 kids, Shane and Estelle. I think we'll leave it at there and then continue tomorrow. Because if I continue, I will never stop. So we'll stop at page 103, heading to page 104. And now we call it a good read, because this is actually a very good read. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoy whatever I'm trying to do. I hope you actually listen to the book and you're finding it interesting. Yeah, so it's currently 20:28, 8:28 in the PM. I'm just about to have my supper. I hope your day 61 has been kind to you. You've had a good day. And even if you haven't had a good day, tomorrow is still a new day where God's mercies will be new, will be fresh, and you'll have a new day to choose to clock in and lock in intentionally. Yeah, please. Let's always choose to clock in and lock in intentionally. As boring and as tough as it might be, there's nothing else to do, It's life. And also have fun while at it, yeah. So, yeah. My locked in family, you're my locked in family, because we choose to clock in and lock in intentionally, so that by the end of the year, by the time 31st is coming, 31st December 2026 is here. We can be happy and we can celebrate, and now we can go on a vacation in January. Yeah. So yeah, guys, please consider subscribing, liking, and commenting. Today we were commenting the Mali flag. Yeah, the Mali flag. We're commenting the Mali flag, and no, we were not commenting the Mali flag. We were commenting the Russia flag because Russia is a hot topic. Is currently a hot topic in Kenya because of the Russian man. If you're not familiar with that, you can Google or check Russian man Kenya on YouTube so that you can get the gist of the story. Yeah. Yeah, so I wish to love you and leave you until day 62, where we will meet back here at my corner to clock in, to prepare to clock in. Actually, not to prepare to clock in, and lock in intentionally to give each other a dose of motivation. Yeah. So allow me to love you and leave you until day 62. But until then, please, guys, stay blessed. Reflect on what you've done today. Are you happy? Are you proud of yourself? If you're not, tomorrow is still another day to pull up your socks. Pull up your socks and sleeves. Yeah. Yeah, so have yourselves a beautiful night ahead, and may you keep warm. Pray, tell God your problems, because He'll surely come through for you than any other man. He will direct the right people in your life. Yeah, so yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll catch you back here tomorrow. Have yourselves a beautiful, peaceful, restful night.